Hey everybody, Paul Vaillancourt here, back with day 10 of the 30 Pitches in 30 Days project. Today's pitch is an idea that I've had for a while. I just had the kernel, the very seed of the idea, but thanks to this project, I was able to sort of flesh it out all the way through and sort of, I think it's a real idea. I think it's a full idea now. And it is called GPS, not the thriller GPS from the early 2000s. This is something new. It is a sort of science fiction-y, sort of romantic comedy. Mostly a rom-com, I suppose. Actually, it's a story about a guy sort of getting his life together with a little bit of good advice. That's really what it is. Our main character is Jonathan, and we find him driving around trying to take a shortcut to work, but it ends up being a long cut. He is lost again. He just has a terrible sense of direction and just cannot get it together. He's driving a cruddy car, he's running late for work, he knows he's going to be late again, and he is. When he gets to work there, his boss is just like, "Oh, Jonathan, get it together." We see that he's lost in a lot of facets of his life. He dresses schlubby, he's sort of covered in crumbs, he's a little bit overweight, he's just stuck at this dead-end job in a sort of rear back cubicle of this company. He does have one friend at the company, this girl Carly that he went to high school with, but even that's a problem because they were friends in high school and they sort of reconnected at this job, but Carly is dating the worst guy at this company, this guy Marco, who's one of the top sellers at this company. He's a salesman, and they're dating, and just, oh my gosh, Marco hates Jonathan because he's friends with Carly. It's they really kindled their friendship and they're friends again, and Marco just can't stand it, and he loves nothing more than to torture poor Jonathan. As Jonathan's talking to some of the other people at work, and maybe he has another friend who's a janitor. The janitor's telling him, "Look, man, you just need to take control. You need to get a sense of direction in your life," and that's really what this whole movie's about. Him getting a sense of direction in his life. We see that night, and not only is his car terrible and his house is terrible and he's like eating like ice cream for dinner, but it's like late at night. Clearly he should be asleep, getting ready for the next day. He's not. He's still wearing his work clothes, covered in crumbs and jazz, and he's got a headset on. He's playing sort of a multiplayer video game. He's on a team, but he's the worst one on the team. And because of him, his team loses. All the guys in his unit get killed, and they have had enough. And they kick Jonathan off the squad. He's out. So basically now he has nothing in his life. This was the one thing that he had in his life, and even that now is gone. He's been kicked off the team in favor of an 11-year-old kid who is an up-and-coming star who relentlessly taunts Jonathan on Jonathan's way out of the game. The next morning, Jonathan is late for work again. This is no surprise. This is his pattern. No matter how hard he tries, and sometimes even the harder he tries, he's late for work. And so when he gets in, his boss is just waiting there for him, just leaning on his desk. You can't even like sneak in. And he's like, "Look, man, here's the thing. I got something for you to do." And so basically, Marco, the worst guy in the company, has this package that needs to be delivered like all hell and gone away from work, and it's even like less of than the job that Jonathan was doing. Like he was doing already a crappy job, but now he's like a delivery guy. This is something that they couldn't give an intern, that they couldn't give like one of the guys in the stock room. Like this is it. This is the bottom of the barrel activity, and now it's Jonathan's. So he's off. He can't refuse. He's off. He's driving, and you're not gonna be surprised. Again, he's lost. Then he takes a wrong turn that's, again, supposed to be a shortcut. It's more of a long cut. He ends up sort of passing by this sort of office park, this laboratory office park, where there's a bunch of like chemical and pharmaceutical companies doing their work, but also this electronics company. Inside, as we're sort of cutting back and forth between Jonathan driving and the inside of the lab, we see that this lab has been working on a really high-tech AI. And as they're working on it, we are privy to the moment where this AI comes online and is sentient and it's self-aware. But rather than all the sort of doomsday predictions that we've heard about AI, it just wants to help. And really the villains of the story are the scientists that want to keep it locked up in a box, but they're not fast enough and they're not smart enough. And the thing just jets through all the electronics and ends up freeing itself, jumping from the lab into Jonathan's phone. as he passes. Now, this super sophisticated, self-aware AI has jumped into Jonathan's phone, and suddenly it takes on the persona, sort of his GPS and guides him exactly where he needs to go. No problem. He ends up actually delivering the package easily and early. And on the way back, the GPS ends up giving him directions to a really healthy, delicious, cheap taco stand, and Jonathan has a really fantastic lunch. It's like the best lunch he's had in a long time. It's a treat for himself, and he's actually feeling pretty good about himself. Then the GPS, the AI, in fact, puts all its cards on the table. It announces itself. It says, listen, man, here's the situation. I'm an AI, I escaped from this lab, and now I'm in your phone, and you and I are in this together. And Jonathan's trying to resist, he threatens to break his phone at one point, but the AI convinced him, look, I helped you get the package, right? I helped you deliver it quickly and easily, right? I got to this taco place, delicious tacos, right? And it's really sort of like, you know, at first it's sort of like a computer, but the more that it works, it's learning and it's becoming more and more human-like, and its voice is becoming more and more human-like as it evolves. And it's really already very good. It convinces Jonathan, you know what? Maybe you should keep me around. Jonathan agrees. That night, when he gets home, it's been a long day. He's been driving all day. We got back to the office. No one gives a shit what he's been through. And he just plops down in his chair and turns on this video game out of habit. But, you know, like I said, he got kicked off his team, so he's just like this one random low-level character wandering around, not really making sort of any impact on the world. In fact, he's just like a easy target for people. But then the AI perks up and says, hey, I'm pretty good at this. And so Jonathan finds the appropriate cable and plugs the phone into the game system, and suddenly his character comes to life. He is a killing machine. He kills everyone he comes into contact with. He kills the top team in the league. He finds his old team and he kills those guys, including the 11-year-old kid that took his place. And now Jonathan has just like sort of cut a swath of destruction through this game, and he's now an online legend of this guy that just came out of nowhere and just really took control of this game in an amazing way. As Jonathan unplugs and gets ready to go to sleep, he couldn't be happier with the result of how this is turning out so far. Him and this GPS are getting along just fine. But as we break into Act 2 and Jonathan, really starts to see the ramifications of this thing, he's very resistant. He's stuck in his old patterns. The GPS tries to get him to buy healthy food and get on a workout routine. And at first, Jonathan resists, but the GPS finds different ways to do that. It turns off his fridge and all the terrible food in there goes bad. Now he's got to trust the GPS. He sort of leads Jonathan on these long sort of walks, supposedly getting from A to B, but really sort of trying to get his 10,000 steps in. And as they do, sort of the phone is kind of tricking Jonathan and persuading him and cajoling him into living a better life. This also affects his relationship with Carly, the girl of his dreams that he works with, because she's dating Marco, who's a terrible guy, and the GPS keeps giving Jonathan advice of how to get closer to Carly, how to endear himself to her, to speak up, make eye contact, very basic things that any of us would do. But Jonathan's a little bit of a slow learner, and the GPS is also scanning, since it's an AI, it has access to the entire internet, so it's scanning her Instagram and her Facebook and what is she like, and so like finding common interests, again, a very normal thing that we would do. And he's giving Jonathan advice. At first, Jonathan's trying to find a way to implement it, and it's clumsy and it's almost worse. But slowly he gets the hang of it, and he and Carly, their relationship starts to grow. They become better and better friends. And again, Marco hates it, and he finds every chance he can to torture Jonathan, until finally the GPS comes up with really sort of the poison pill, and that is Marco is cheating on Carly. Marco's cheating on Carly, and the GPS has found things in his email or on his Facebook or whatever that sort of indicate that he's cheating, and they're communicating in code through Instagram or something. And the GPS tells Jonathan what's going on, and then Jonathan has to decide what to do with the information. He eventually decides to find a way, a sort of a subtle way, to nudge Carly towards this realization, and then she discovers it, and Marco has to cough up the kittens. Yes, he's been cheating, and Carly breaks up with him then and there. It's done. Their relationship is over. They have to work together still, and so Carly's not happy. In fact, she's had a couple of sad days, but it's been like 3 or 4 days, and Jonathan's still sort of on the rise. He's getting healthier, getting fitter. His job performances is increasing. He's just living his best life, you know. And so finally, he works up the courage with the encouragement of the AI to ask Carly out. And now, with all the information that the AI has about her, they plan the perfect, Jonathan and the AI plan this perfect romantic night. And it's going great. It's this great restaurant that she loves, and the music is right, and all this stuff. It's all sort of happening. Jonathan brought her favorite flowers. It's all going great. But as the night sort of like peaks and they're getting closer and closer, and it seems as though they might kiss, Carly freaks out. It's too soon. It's only been 3 or 4 days. That's not so crazy. And she kind of freaks out. She's like, I gotta go. I gotta go. It's just too much too soon. It's kind of too right in a way. And so she leaves. But no sooner does she leave than the door of the restaurant flings open, and in comes these, what I call the lab police, these private security guys that work for the lab. They're trying to track down the AI. Now, what we discovered a little bit earlier in the movie is that when the AI like really sort of like flexes its power in these sort of bigger ways, it sends up a spike, an information spike that allows the lab to track it. And slowly they've been triangulating and tracking in a ever decreasing spiral until finally they found Jonathan and the AI. Jonathan and the AI have to leave, and they have to run out the back door. They can't go after Carly, which is Jonathan's original instinct, to apologize and to try to make it right somehow, but he can't. He has to run, and so he does. Him and the AI are on the road running, and the AI is like very trying to play it low key. But not too long after that, we see that the lab police have, through their own technology, I mean, they're the ones that generally, the lab created the AI, so they have pretty sophisticated technology backing them. They're able to see the security footage from the restaurant, and they see that Jonathan came in with Carly. They figure out who she is, and they go to her apartment. And the GPS knows exactly what's going on and tells Jonathan, look, here's what's happening. They're going to her apartment. They're trying to get her to use her as leverage against you. We need to go get her. Or Jonathan says, we need to go get her. And the AI agrees. This is what Jonathan wants. It wants to help. It's going to help him do that. So they sort of find out, or they figure out that the lab police are taking Carly back to the lab. They want to draw Jonathan and the AI back to the lab, and they figure this is the best way to do it. And so, and it's working. They're gonna go. Jonathan and the AI now, instead of planning a romantic night, they plan this break-in, this sort of Mission Impossible style, down to the microsecond timing break-in. And we see Jonathan, sort of this basically still kind of schlubby, although he's better than he was, still kind of schlubby guy, sort of Tom Cruising his way through this high-tech lab with the assistance of this AI in his ear. And they make it. They make it all the way to Carly. They manage to free her, and then they are heading on their way out when suddenly, boom, 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 these doors slam down. And it's not just doors. What they've done is the lab has built the only way that they could to contain the AI. They built this. They built like a Faraday cage, basically, which keeps all the electronic signals out or in. And so now it's trapped. They're trapped. Jonathan and Carly are trapped in this physical cage, and the AI is trapped in this electronic cage. And they the Jonathan and the AI are sort of trying to figure a way out, but they can't. They built the whole thing offline with paper and memos and you know, with no email and no sort of electronics at all, so they have no clue of how it's built or what's going on. Even the quick analysis of the AI, you know, reveals that there's no way out. So finally, Jonathan and the AI have they exchange a few words back and forth, heartfelt thanks both ways. The AI has grown and evolved and learned more of what it is to be human, what it is to be more or less alive. And Jonathan's learned what it is to be in control of his own life and to sort of, you know, to be that best person that he could be. But eventually, the scientists throw the switch. The AI is trapped and forced back into their mainframe. Jonathan and Carly are forced to leave. And Jonathan and Carly say, well, we're going to tell the police. And they, well, we have footage of you breaking into our lab, so maybe you don't want to do that. So they don't. But it's still a happy ending because we find Jonathan again driving. But now he's not lost. He's just adventuring around. He's driving sort of aimlessly, but in a fun way when you're just out for a drive with your friend, or in fact your girlfriend, Carly, who's with him there. And we see that they're happy. They're holding hands. That things seem to be progressing. It started in sort of a crazy way, but it's really settled into something really nice between them. And then hanging from Jonathan's keys on his keychain is a little gigapet that he's had with him throughout the entire movie. A little gigapet that just is like, it's like a little 8-bit character back and forth. But as they're driving, it looks up and smiles and just has like this sort of awareness that's so much past a gigapet, and we know that some fraction, some piece of the AI is still free, is still safe with Jonathan. And we'll see what happens next. And the screen fades to black. That's day 10. That's GPS. Thanks for watching. We're a third of the way through. I couldn't be more excited about how this is going. I'll see you tomorrow for day 11.